Hello and welcome back to Alex Goes Sailing. In this episode, me and Sam talk about the time when the mast fell off Misumi, and then we talk about how we fixed it. And hopefully you can learn from our mistakes. Now let's get into it.
Where do you want to start then?
What happened on the day?
I can't even remember the day that well. That's the thing.
Well,
it was back from the Isle of Wight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like in the second season of when we had the boat on the water, and then
right,
maybe the fifth or sixth time at Isle of Wight.
Because the first season doesn't count because that was literally
a couple of weeks,
like 2 times.
Yeah, 2 times. No, second season. It's really near the end of the season, wasn't it? Because I remember having all the winter try and get the thing cast, but I was rushing to get it out in the last bit of the summer.
Oh yeah.
So it was.
Yes, I remember now. When your photos reminded me of that now. Yeah.
So it's like the end of the season, probably the 6th time to the Isle of Wight, probably. Yeah.
You would, yeah, probably my second or third, but probably your yeah.
And then it was a pretty calm day going across, and we went to Bembridge like normal.
Was that one of the times when we were really almost like goose winging it and it was calm as hell?
Yeah.
Or was that, am I confusing that?
No, because we went over and it was really calm. Then when we were coming back, it was slowly picking up the next day.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because I think we knew. I'm not sure. We're always looking at forecasts, but I think we knew at some point it was going to get worse. And I think maybe were we aiming to get back before it got terrible? Maybe that's what we were doing.
Yeah, we were like in the morning. We were deciding when we should leave to get back just before it got rubbish.
Yeah, because I think we were looking at tides and also the weather was like changing on that day.
Yeah, this is on a Sunday.
On the Sunday coming back.
Yeah, because we went up and got our breakfast, didn't we?
Was it that time?
No, it wasn't. That was the first time.
This is the thing. They all blur into one.
What did we have for breakfast then? Maybe we didn't. Maybe we just did our normal breakfast.
Did we have breakfast? Did we just?
No, we just did lunch.
Take a sandwich or take a meal deal from.
Yeah, we probably raided the shops, didn't we? But anyhow,
So we're back from Bembridge.
Yeah, so we're coming back from Bembridge, and then.
So we've done it before. We know what we're doing. We think.
Yeah. So yeah, well, we were coming across, and then we went to almost the Langstone Harbour entrance, so like the complete west side of Hayling Island, and then we turned to go across the front of Hayling Island. You know, that beach front.
That's the thing. I think, because obviously when you're going across from Isle of Wight, you've got the shipping lanes, which is the big thing. So we're playing it pretty. I think we're probably reefed as well, going north across shipping lanes.
Well, we definitely didn't reef. We did not reef. No, we did not. We definitely didn't.
Not even early in the day.
We never reefed. When did we ever reef that boat?
I thought we might have done.
Surely. I think I reefed it once. The only time I ever reefed it. Rest of the time, full sails.
Okay. Well, anyway, we were coming across, and it was going okay, I think. And we must have had. I have no idea what the wind direction was, but we must have had. It was more perpendicular to us once we turned.
Well, as soon as we turned to go along the beachfront itself, it was coming from like the southeast, so it was on our starboard side, so it was on a starboard tack. So that was getting us there.
Hang on, it was on the port side. Port's left, isn't it?
Nah, no. Well, port is left, but the mast fell into the water on the port side. So the wind was coming from the starboard side.
We went north, and then we tacked to go along the coast.
Yeah, so along the front of Hayling, and the wind was coming.
Which way was the wind?
Southeast. It was coming, so it would be coming from our starboard side to the port side to on a starboard tack.
Yeah, no, I remember it now.
And then
because I remember being.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
And the waves were getting pretty decent size. And then we hit our max boat speed that we ever got in the boat. Just before, and we were having a whale of a time.
Oh, were we?
Like we saw on the little chart flight thing, we kept on looking down, we were like, 7 knots, 7.2, yes!
It was always a record. It was always a record.
The fact that we got into 7s is something else. We never got into seconds. We only ever pushed 6s.
That was like speed of sound for that boat.
Yeah, that was rapid. I wasn't even like
So,
close
yeah,
haul, it was more of a beam reach that we were doing as well. So that's why we're getting a lot of speed going.
Right. Yeah, so obviously we turn and then the wind is hitting the sails, you know, flat on, almost.
And then...
But I mean, we're having a great time.
Yeah, flying
like, we're both...
I'm helming it.
Well, in fact... yeah, you're steering. I mean, we're both trying to just keep the boat...
upright.
For a lot of that time, just upright for the time, yeah. and I think we'd you know, you'd keep going closer to the wind than far away, and then, you know...
Yeah.
and it would come and go. Wasn't the smoothest of wind, I guess. But I think probably when we were looking at the speed, I probably then went down to look at the chart plotter a bit.
And this is when we were getting quite close to the actual entrance to the harbour. So we were getting pretty close.
Yeah, we weren't far away from back to safety, as it were.
No, we're almost ready to make the next tack. Maybe like 20 minutes out from the next tack.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it all happened.
I don't even remember it. It was so quick.
It was like...
It was just...
I was sat right at the back of the boat, like right on the transom, like the furthest away you could possibly be from it.
Yeah, because you're trying to counteract the lean and you've got it going.
It's like right at the back.
With that, that's the problem with that. That's the problem with that boat, because it's got like these buttress pieces on the side.
Yeah.
To actually right the boat, you've got to kind of like sit off the side of the boat.
It's not the most comfortable thing in the world.
When it's like, you know, like in a dinghy or something, or like a cat, you can, you know, it just goes flat and then the end of the boat, so you can sort of like shuffle out as far as you need to. But with that one, it's like this lip you've got to sit over, because what I remember is the is just it, because obviously the wind is pushing over, so you're in a sort of balance position, and then as soon as the mast went, suddenly it's all chaos.
It started rocking.
And you're also trying to not get chucked off the boat as well.
Yeah, you were quite lucky though. You're in the actual companionway, so you were quite snug in there, weren't you? You were like sat on a companionway area. I'm sat on the back.
Yeah. I must have been. I remember getting out quickly.
Yeah.
Like getting on deck pretty quickly, but pretty quick. But
yeah, but it literally went patwang, flash of a second, the mast was in the water, straight away.
Yeah.
Like straight off the port
no
side.
time really.
And then you got all the wires as well in there, and the sails flapping about. Yeah, you have both sails up.
Because that's the thing. Because it happened really quick. We were. Before you know it, you're dealing with like, what's the next big danger or whatever.
Yeah.
And
we were in like
we've just
5 meters of water as well, so our mast could hit the bottom as well. Then if the mast hit the bottom, you could get a hole through your boat as well. If your boat hits up against the mast with the bottom.
I don't think that was ever really a problem though, because the mast just floated. Though.
Yeah, it did. It was pretty good. It was a floater. It was definitely a floater, especially with the sails up. That helped it.
I'm sure. Yeah. Because as soon as they went down, it's just sort of like a.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, we got it on pretty quick because for at least 5-10 seconds, we just looked at each other and we were like, what? Well, what happened?
Right, what's going to happen next? Well, I think I was worrying about what's going to, like, that's just happened. What bad is going to happen immediately? So there, the mast is then like flat, like the mast and sails are flat in the water, off to our port side.
Yeah.
And we're just been shaken about. Luckily, we're not in the shipping lane.
No.
Because imagine if that had happened.
We're right on the beach
in the middle,
and it is on a lee shore as well. So like the wind's going to push you onto the shore possibly, but we're a good way off though.
Yeah.
Still a good way off.
I mean, yeah. Luckily, we're away from a lot of things.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything near us really, so that's pretty good.
Because then we had to try and pull it back on, and that was a.
So that's the thing, yeah.
That was a.
Because obviously we've got all the stays, you know.
And then the sails are in there dragging, so we were like. I think we pulled it on halfway, and then we were like, try and get the sails down while it's halfway out, and then try and pull it out the rest of the way.
Because it's not, even when we were trying to take the mast down on land, it was always a bit of a faff, you know.
Yeah, normally you got to balance it.
Trying to make sure
it's quite heavy.
Get it down and not tangle it and all these things. And I mean, it was just a total mess. Because So just trying to get the mast onto the boat in some way, and then also all these sails that are now also really damp with water.
Yeah, flapping about and like just covering the entire deck, so you can't like walk on the deck to go pull down but it's part of the sail or something, or like pull the rest of the wires on. And we didn't want to start up the outboard while everything's in the water either.
That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because obviously the outboard was out right then. We did not need it.
Yeah, we did need it.
Yeah, I forgot that.
We did need it in the end. Yeah, but that outboard was terrible. So I remember when we got round into the actual harbour and on the straight bit where all the current's ripping through, the outboard died, didn't it? It cut out. Yeah, it cut out, and then we realised that one, I hadn't turned the vent on for the fuel tank, and there's quite a lot of seaweed blocking the water intake, so it's getting a little hot. So I had to pull out the seaweed and open the air vent so we could actually get fuel to flow into the engine, because you need that if you need an engine.
But at least that was fixable.
Yeah, but I mean,
on the fly.
The rest of the time that outboard was solid, but I mean we had to mow it all the way back, and we were just there with this mast on top of the boat, and like it just felt like everyone was watching from the shore as this sailboat comes in with the mast across their deck. and
everything's tangled, and the sails are up on the mast, but totally wet.
I think we took down one of them, but one of them was still on it. I think it was like the
probably. I think maybe the jib was okay to take off because
it was a hang-on jib, so we could just unclip it.
Yeah.
But then we got it back and pulled it up onto the trailer and took it home. But well, that was not a good day. Well, it was a good weekend, but not a good day. Actually, no, it's a really good day because we hit our top speed. I think it was 7.6 knots. That was good speed.
Yeah.
Sent it a little bit too hard though.
I think we're just glad it was over.
Yeah. But alright.
Because that's what I was worrying about. Like, from ever since it happened, from ever since the mast fell off, and until we were properly in the harbour, I was just worried about, what else has gone wrong potentially. Because who knows? I mean, but it turned out. So shall we say about what actually happened?
Yeah. Right. So what actually happened? Do you know what happened, Sam? I know what happened.
I know what happened.
We both know what happened. Right. So
it's this photo.
Yeah. So photo time. Basically, the long and short of it is the way the boat was built and designed. There's probably going to be a drawing pop up, but the way the boat was designed is there's 2 stays on each side, and we were running one because that's what the mast had allowed for, and one of them was broken anyway on one side, so we couldn't utilise that, and they were just the old original, like completely original stay mounts, chain plates, actually fitted to the boat itself.
Shroud.
Yeah.
They're not called stays, they're shrouds.
Technical term, shrouds. Right, so
I mean, we've always called them stays, but they're shrouds.
Our terminology is not up there. It's a thingamabob.
Okay, right, the shrouds.
Yeah.
So the point the shrouds attached to the boat itself.
Yeah.
So it has these metal attachment points which are just fiberglassed in.
Yeah.
But they're pretty basic.
Effectively, just a piece of metal cut in half, halfway up itself, split open as soon as they put it into the hull, split it open, then fiberglass that on and hope it stays there. So what effectively happened, we got a lot of force on that stay, it just like bended itself back in and pulled right out. That's effectively what happened.
It just undid whatever, however it was bent in the first place, and just came out like a, I don't know.
It just squashed itself out.
Yeah.
And that in turn meant the mast had no support and it fell in the water.
Because were we using just one shroud?
Yeah, one on each side, and then the forestay, and then the rear. But there's provision for 2, so one side had 2, one side had 1, because the other one was snapped off. Which should have been a key.
So maybe Maybe this is not the first time this boat is.
Yeah, but it didn't. It wasn't pulled out. It just
mast.
snapped off. Like just the top half snapped. So.
Well, maybe that's what happened last time then.
Well, this
Before
time
the
it pulled
fiberglass
completely
failed.
out. So.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But that was the point of failure was there.
I think maybe we should have used two.
Yeah, we should have fixed that.
With hindsight.
But well, you don't know until you break it.
So anyway, and it was also brass as well.
Yeah.
So it's pretty soft compared to other things, but I guess it's pretty hardy against the.
Yeah. Well, it didn't
water.
break. It just pulled and squashed itself out, so the top bit didn't actually break from all that force as well. So it wasn't.
But it probably been a bit easier than something else though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it wasn't the strongest.
So anyway, once we.
So that fell in, and then it broke the actual base, which I've got here. The base itself fell over, snapped off. So that broke.
Yeah, because you've got obviously the force going on the mast is pretty much all on that piece, on the shroud and where it's attached. Very little of it is actually going through the bottom of the mast, and that's just obviously. I mean,
and it's only in one direction, which is down, not across or anything like that.
That's why it's there. Yeah.
Or anything.
Yeah. So as soon as the shroud let go, the mast mount just snapped
just went
like anything. I mean, we were there, and there wasn't like a moment of it half breaking and then fully breaking.
Yeah,
it was.
There's no way of
once.
running up and holding it.
No, yeah. Once that little piece of brass let loose, it was game over for the mast mount itself.
Yeah, because originally on the boat it was the wooden mast with an old fitting itself, and then we decided to get a new mast, aluminium, and put that on.
Yeah.
And then we had to design a new mount. Well, Sam designed the new mount in CAD and built it at college.
Yeah,
didn't you?
You made it back in college.
But
yeah.
Built strong though. Built strong.
Well, that's the thing though. I'm trying to work out what because this is not the standard setup for this boat.
No.
The previous mast mount, you'll see, it's this, it's this big thing that sort of really holds what a wooden mast it was, and I'm trying to think what would happen if this had happened on that style. But I guess maybe the mast itself would have just snapped, maybe.
Probably would.
Where in this point it's like, because you've got like the aluminium like piece of the mast, the bulk of the mast, then there's like a cast piece at the bottom that mounts to the mount itself, if that makes any sense.
As you can see, it just slips over this point at the top. Slips on.
Yeah, in this photo we've got like the black piece is a piece that's at the bottom of the mast, and then the bit below it is what I made. But essentially, that black bit in the middle is like one of the hardest things to recreate. So that was like one of the worst things that could have broken.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, I should have really made my mount less strong in some way.
Yeah, because how did you build that? You had like a plate and then two blocks bolted, and then you bolted it all on.
It was a plate with two bars that was. I mean, you can see in this photo, it's just I went to town. Like, there's no need for 10 bolts on that thing. I mean,
it was strong.
It looked cool. And I like my countersinks, but there's no need for it really.
Yeah.
And it probably had a bit of weight that we could have done without. Anyway, point is, in hindsight, I should have made the mount that I made weaker, because you had to then go and get that piece remade, that complex casting at the bottom of the mast remade.
Took ages.
Didn't you?
It was like 3 months to get it cast. 3-4 months, yeah.
Crikey.
Luckily, it was near the end of the season, so it wasn't the worst. And you can see my attempt at making a wooden replacement for just a couple of outings.
That is funny. Did you take that out?
Yeah, I legitimately took it out. We went to pool and we took that out. Didn't put the sails up. It was just there because we motored across and motored everywhere because it's only popping over to the island.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd put the mast up so at least I got sails in case that outboard packed up again. Which it almost did because it almost clogged with seaweed again. Blooming seaweed, I hate the stuff.
Oh, what, you just had it as back, you didn't actually have sails up?
Just used it as a...
Oh, okay.
Well, we know what happened when the mast fell off, so what happened if my outboard fell off? So I was going with that logic.
don't trust the mast. Don't trust anything.
No, don't trust anything. I got paddles as well, so we're set.
So you got the casting back, and actually, it turned out amazing. I didn't think it was going to turn out so good, but what they basically did was take the bits, because that's another thing. Like, could we have lost? We could have potentially lost parts of the actual mount.
Oh yeah, we could have done. Well, luckily,
in the channel,
this piece was actually still had the pin in it and on the boat, and this was still attached to the mast itself. So we had both
it broke in more than two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then all they did was literally stuck these two back together and filled in any areas with wax, and then cast it, didn't they?
Yeah, and I remember. I think I had that job. I remember with an angle grinder getting it to fit back in the end of the mast.
Yeah, we had to fet it a little bit from the casting to get it back in. Yeah, we had the very precise like tools here. We're using a flat disc on an angle grinder. Like
high precision stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it really close though. You're like taking your time.
And then how did you fit? Because it was, I guess you did the same thing as it was before. You used little pop rivets, did you?
Yeah, pop rivet it back on. Yeah, exactly the same.
But you wouldn't. I don't think you'd know if you looked at it right now.
No. It's literally brand new. It looks pretty much exactly the same, just a bit newer casting. Probably less imperfections than this casting, because you can see in the actual metal how like grainy it is and like all the little voids and stuff.
Yeah. But then we used that for another couple of years, didn't we?
Yeah, it's still going strong now. I designed it out of stainless steel, and basically I was like, it had to be strong, so stainless steel, and then I had to design shape to make it fiberglass onto the side, and then I was like, right, what's not going to come out through the deck? Because it's basically the deck, the hull coming up, and a little slit that you slide the thing up into to then fiberglass onto the side of the boat. So I was
and fiberglass from the inside as well, which is pretty good, I think.
So I was like, alright, a grappling hook. That is like literally the idea of design. Yeah, so it's like a grapple anchor thing. So you could see it, it's like the two V's that come up, and it just, so if it did, the fiberglass failed or anything like that, it would rip the deck off before it came out of the boat, effectively.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but...
Well, you just needed something like a barb, didn't you? It's like a hook with a barb on it sort of thing, which you sort of have got there.
Yeah, so and it's quite good because in the fiberglass, when it's all fiberglassed on, it's got a good way to grip on. So even if it did have a little bit of movement, it would have something to grip onto instead of just sliding itself out again.
It's kind of fail safe. Even if the adhesive of the fiberglass fails, it's gonna, it's gonna stop at something at some point. And also, I think did you add in?
Yeah, I did both sides, and I added two on each side. So
yeah, so back to spec it was out the factory sort of thing.
But then that mast needed a new stay put on it to account for that, because it only had one stay that came out the side, or shroud that came out the side.
One shroud, yeah.
So we had to add another one for that to actually utilise the second mount that I put in.
Yeah. But then, it was,
solid.
We knew that we could do 7 knots in.
We can trust our boat again. But in the next video, I will be going over all of the upgrades that we did, like the new trailer, all the fancy new bits we put on it, like fixing the mount itself, and like all the other small things that we did over the time. And then smashing.
Yeah, a boat project is never done.
No, always boat projects. Well, what else are you going to do in the winter? I spent so much time on that boat. All the procrastination and dominoes. Literally.
Can't get away from it.
Like some nights we were working on that boat is literally just spent eating dominoes and talking about what we need to do. Like we didn't actually get anything done. At least a good few of them nights.
No, planning is a crucial stage of any project.
Yes, and that's how procrastination works.
Yeah, of course.
Hopefully we didn't bore you to death, but thanks for watching, and in the coming episodes you will see the upgrades that we did to Misumi. I will also be posting a new video every Saturday, so please subscribe, comment and like. Thanks.